A bunch of people have recently asked me to talk about this, and I guess I'll give it a try. But before we go anywhere, this video will contain absolutely humongous spoilers about The Witcher show on Netflix, so tread carefully. Okay, the good people over at Redanian Intelligence have posted a curious article about the second season of the show, which you can check in the link below. And obviously I cannot confirm how truthful this information is, so take it with a grain of salt, but it would seem that they've changed what happens to Eskel quite a bit. Allegedly, he dies in Season 2, and they feed him to the wolves, supposedly as some sort of ritualistic School of the Wolf funeral? I suppose the whole thing might be part of some kind of nightmare, which Ciri's having, but even if that's the case, these visions of hers tend to be prophetic. So perhaps, if not in the next season, Eskel will still die this way eventually. I cannot be certain, but for the sake of this video, I will assume that he actually dies and give you my thoughts about it. Now, I honestly can't say that I'm surprised. Eskel has a minor involvement in the book on which Season 2 is based, and he doesn't really do anything in the following ones. And if you recall, there was a character in a similar situation in Season 1, namely Ermion, also known as Mousak, and they killed him off too. Now, in my opinion, both characters have potential, and if Netflix wanted to do something more, something interesting with them, they could have probably come up with a better idea than just killing them off for dramatic effect. What mostly caught me off guard, to be honest, was the whole feeding to the wolves part. Obviously, I don't know exactly how and why it's done, but if it is some kind of new addition to the lore of the Witcher School, I don't think it fits very well. You know, Geralt, Vesemir, Eskel, Lambert. From what we know about them, they're not really into such almost occult practices and superstitions. But so long as they don't turn their dead witchers into eel batteries or something, I guess I'm fine with it.
Lambert, you're a genius.
Another thing the article talks about is how apparently Eskel dies during a fight with a Leshen.
Fuck yeah! Summon the bitches!
Which also doesn't happen in the books, but again, based on what we saw in Season 1, such additions are to be expected. In fact, there will probably be much more than just this fight. I mean, Season 1 was based on the first two books, and as far as we know, correct me if I'm wrong, Season 2 is based only on the third book. Now, the first two books have so much more things happening than the third. Not only are they two books versus one, but they're also collections of short stories, and by their nature they are more action-packed and fast-paced. Meanwhile, the third book is slower, has more dialogue and world building and whatnot, and if Netflix wants to maintain the same pace from Season 1, which, as you probably remember, kept cutting between multiple storylines from multiple timelines and went all over the place, they would have to invent a lot of stuff for the characters to do. We already know that there's going to be a whole new subplot with Fringilla, Yennefer, the Scoia'tael, and pregnant Francesca, I think? And I bet they will come up with something for Dandelion and the dwarves to do, and so on.
Fine! Away with you, and never come back!
Now, the problem I have with all of this is that Netflix's track record of changing events from the books and adding new things to them has so far been terrible? Let me just mention one example of both. First off, my absolute biggest issue with Season 1, the removal of the meeting between Geralt and Ciri in Brokilon. This event is at the heart of the second book. It's arguably the most crucial and important thing that happens in it. It's what the book itself is named after. You know, the Sword of Destiny? It is what gives meaning to the endless talk of destiny.
Destiny.
Destiny. Destiny.
Destiny. Destiny.
It's not destiny. Destiny.
Destiny.
Destiny. Destiny.
And shows us the creation of Geralt and Ciri's bond, which, as you know, is an important thing. I don't know, for those who haven't read the book, I'm not sure what analogy to give. Perhaps Imagine recreating Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back,
It is your destiny.
except Luke never meets Yoda on Dagobah, and all the scenes between them are removed. In fact, this analogy may not even be bad enough. Anyway, and what did they add instead? Well, the Doppler plot, which actually is where they chose to kill Hermione, and it was ridiculous. First off, the Doppler is the polar opposite of what Dopplers are in lore. They are supposed to be good and kind-hearted. Meanwhile, this guy is a malicious psychopath.
Children are our favorite.
They are also incredibly proficient at what they do, not only assuming the appearance of others, but also mimicking them almost indistinguishably, if that's even a word.
Finally found your little ward. Took your sweet fucking time.
You know, in terms of the way they talk, the way they think and act and behave. And here we have this guy who is nothing like Hermione, minus the looks. In fact, he boasts about how he knows everything Hermione has ever thought about, or something.
Everything you've ever done, ever debated, ever dreamed is in our head now.
But then he doesn't know arguably the most important thing Hermione knew. You know, the fact that Siri is special? What's more, Dopplers are supposed to be smart and cunning and whatnot, and he gets exposed by a couple of 12-year-olds. Not to mention that the entire plot is kind of pointless, it doesn't really go anywhere. So yeah, let me try and wrap this up, because honestly I'm not finding much pleasure in talking about this right now. So here's the thing. More and interesting things involving characters who don't have much to do in the books, such as Eskel, is something that I would love to see, and something that actually makes sense for Netflix to add, especially given their style and their approach. However, having Eskel die and be eaten by wolves would not be my first choice. But I don't know, if they make it seem significant somehow, I suppose it could be good. However, once again, based on their track record, I have serious doubts. Still, I'll give the second season a shot, see what they do, and when it's out, I'll once again give you my genuine thoughts about it. So with that said, tell me what you think about this turn of events, and until some other major piece of news comes up, I'd like to thank you all for watching, special thanks to my supporters and YouTube members, and until the next video, stay tuned and be good.
See, I can do it too.